Welcome into the Lounge, presented by DraftKings. I'm Ryan Mink here with Garrett Downing, and we are thrilled to sit down with head coach John Harbaugh. And, Coach, we got to start with the biggest news of the offseason. We wouldn't be real journalists if we didn't start here, and that's foul ball gate. And
there's a couple of directions you could have gone. That's the one you chose.
This is the most important, the biggest one. Right. So your brother recently said he's caught 22 foul balls. Now, Jim, I know he's never one to elaborate on any story or anything like that, but that's what his claim is. You were sitting next to Cal Ripken Jr. Right. Foul ball comes your way, and kind of the duck and cover kind of move there. Well,
I mean, I take a little offense at your portrayal of it. You got to put yourself in the scenario, which I mentioned to Jim and my dad, who were both giving me pointers on how to catch foul balls. I mean, I was with Jim for probably, 12 to 15 of his foul balls that he caught, because most of the time we would go to Tigers games or Indians games. And especially in Cleveland when we were kids. Anytime we were in summertime, we went to visit our grandparents, we went to Municipal Stadium. Stadium was huge. Yeah. It was like, 85,000 people, 90,000 people stadium, the old cavernous stadium where the Indians played at, right? Yeah. And there was just, you have a whole section to yourself. And a lot of times we were somewhere up, away, out, and the section was to ourselves. So really it was me and my brother going at it for the foul ball.
Sure, that didn't get contentious at all.
Yeah, no. And there was a lot of opportunities. I mean, every game we'd get a couple balls, especially if we were in foul ball territory as opposed to home run territory. We covered the whole stadium. And our Uncle Jerry is the one who taught us how to get foul balls. And the strategy has never been to catch it. It's with bare hands. But you can do it. You can do it. Jim's never done it. He does it with a glove. He takes a glove to the game, which I'll get into in a minute. But the bottom line is you go low. Like Jim said, you go low for the foul. But you let the foul ball hit, you try to anticipate where it's going to bounce, and you go ground level. Right. You get your sniffer right down on the ground, you go fight it, you get under everybody and you grab it. That's what Uncle Jerry did. Uncle Jerry was a big guy, and he said he had the quickest hands of a big man that you've ever seen, which he did. He was a hell of an athlete. So that was where we learned how to get foul balls. Now this particular one, for the record, I was going to bring my glove. Okay. We were going to sit, and Steve has 4 seats behind the Orioles dugout, which I said, Steve, can any chance we could do? Yeah. And he's like, sure. So he gave us the 4 seats. So we went with my wife and I and 2 friends, and we're there, and we're watching the game. So I'm going to bring my glove. But then we're in a rush to get out. We're in a big hurry. We got to get there. We're going to have dinner down there beforehand, I forget my glove. Oh. Because that's the perfect spot behind the Orioles dugout, or the with a right-handed batter. That's right where you want to be.
You got to be on alert in those seats.
You got to be on alert, and you can get it, and you got to have the glove in your hand on you. You got to be wearing the glove, because you can do it. It could be a liner or it could be high. Yeah. Are you going to catch a liner like that? I don't know. Maybe somebody has. I haven't seen it been done. I haven't seen it on ESPN highlights. Yeah. But then I'm kind of mad because I didn't. I forgot my glove. I'm sitting there. And I did notice down, I said, Cal's down there. So then I get a text. Hey, heard you're in the stadium. You want to come down and sit with us?
That's an automatic yes.
Great wife, his amazing wife. So we're like, hey, Cal wants us to go sit right behind home plate. Let's go. Yeah. So we leave. We abandoned our 2 friends. They were cool with it. One of them came down later because Cal didn't have enough seats for 2. Just to be clear, they could have come. Yeah. One of them left. The other guy came down for the last couple innings, just so you know. So we go down. I'm just talking to Cal. Now the setup is you got about this much room. You get behind the brick wall. I'm calling balls and strikes. Yep. Right? Yeah. And there's a net that goes up high, straight up. All right. There's really no net in back. Like some of them have nets go back over the top, so it can't come down. But in Camden, there's, and I did think about it. I thought, there's no way a foul ball is going to get here.
Right, the arc that has to take, right, straight up, straight down.
It's like almost mathematically impossible. Right. This is how God works, okay? Sure enough, about 2 innings into sitting there, and I've asked him every question you can ask about Orioles, and we're talking about his brother and his dad, and it's just an awesome baseball conversation, man. It's just like, I can't get enough of this. Next thing you know, boom, it goes up high. Rushman comes running back. He's running toward it. I'm sitting there with that, and I see it go up. I'm like, there's no way. And then Cal kind of like grabs my arm right there.
Oh, he pinned you.
He didn't really pin me. I don't want to say he pinned me, but I felt a touch right there. And the ball goes up and it comes over the top. And then I realized it is so friggin' high that it might come down, but it's going past. But then I realized that and it hits me. You can think of so many things in a moment, right? And so then I got to think, and this is what went through my mind. It's like, okay, I got to make it a split second, because I always told myself, I'll try to catch it. I know in my mind, if I stand for this, I'm going to stand up, I'm going to square it up, and I'm going to try to catch it like this with two hands. Right? And it's coming this way. I'm thinking to myself, that's going to be right to my face.
You're taking that in the chops, right?
Right to my face. Yeah. So like I'm not going to go I'm not going to let it hit my face. I'm going to hold my hands close and try to do that and absorb it. Right. Right. But I know I'm probably going to drop it. I'll probably break my hand.
Yeah.
Okay, I can live with that, but I can't live with a drop. I can't live with an error.
The ball security goes through your mind.
Well, you just can't. I mean, like I'll give you the punchline, but so in the split second, I go, all that goes through my mind, and I go, just sit there. I don't even know if it's going to get back this far. Just sit there talking to Cal, right? So be darned if that thing doesn't come right down and hits like right there, not in the row behind us is where it hit. Yeah. And then it was like a gunshot went off. Our friends over there said it was like a gunshot went off when it hit the concrete, and it bounced. For some reason, the way it was spinning, it bounced back like 20 rows.
Wow.
Then someone got it, right? So it's like, I thought to myself, I wonder how it's going to look on TV. And I'm kind of glad I didn't try to catch that. It would have been pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I haven't been asked about it in the press conference, but the first press conference I'm going to get asked about it, my line's going to be, hey, Cal called me off.
Exactly. Yeah, Cal didn't make the play.
Cal called me off.
Gold Glover.
Right, you get called off and you're off of it. Yeah, you know? Yeah, I'm going to throw Cal Ripken away? Yeah,
of course not.
It's my captain. It's my captain.
That is funny.
That's good.
That's funny.
Well, let's, we could talk baseball all day, but let's talk a little football too. Let's transition to football. It's training camp is here. Today's the first day of training camp. There's excitement. There's buzz around here. How excited are you just to get this thing started and what the season's going to be?
Super anxious, excited, ready to go. Going over my message to the team like 1,000 times, can't wait. And changed it again this morning, just got to be. And probably when I stand in front of them, it'll be a little different. It'll be just like whatever kind of comes to you, because we're kind of in the moment with everything. It's like talking to a team that gets it already. Talking to a team that understands. Like I'm going to tell them, I say everything, hey, so let's go. Now I'm going to talk about more, but everything we're going to say, you already know. So just, hey, let's get locked in. Let's be on the same page, and let's get started, and let's make the most of the day, and let's make the most of every great day we're going to have for the rest of training camp. And but this is a very determined football team. Very determined football team.
In what way? How do you notice that from your team?
I see it like, and I tell the guys all the time. I go by what I see, not what I hear. I go by what I see. I see how the guys are working. I see how they're how they are in meetings, how they're learning, how fast they're picking up the defense, how they're running to the ball, how they're not making mistakes, how they're executing the offense pre-snap. I see excellence, in what they're doing every single day. I also see a lot of guys that are locked in, but they're focused, but they're also loose. Mm-hmm. They're enjoying one another. They're having fun. They're smiling while they work hard, and that's kind of the formula.
I'm curious about that message to the team, because there's just a lot of fans are really excited about this team. We're really pumped up about this team. A lot of pundits are talking about this team and just how great this roster is, right? That's been assembled. So there's all this outside noise and excitement. As the head coach, you've been here before. We've had really good teams, right, that have been there and competing and won a lot of games. How do you as the coach kind of handle all that outside noise when everybody is like, man, this Ravens team is loaded?
Yeah. Well, I don't think the team is like giddy. The team isn't like, oh, we're so good. Mm-hmm. We always think we're good. I always think we're going undefeated every year. Just in my mind, let's go undefeated. Mm-hmm. But this is really the first year that everybody before the season started has said, oh, you got the best roster. You got the best team. Most of the time it's like, you got all these holes. They're not going to be able to sustain it. Mm-hmm. They're playing a first place schedule again. They can't. There's no way they're going to be 8-9 or 9-8, or they just it's never been preseason how great our roster is. Right. At the end of the year, they talk about how great our roster is. Right. And I take a lot of pride in that. Right, we all do, because that's how the guys perform. They earn that right. And they've earned that right to be considered the kind of roster they are. And that's, as a coach, that's what you hope for your players, because you want to put your players in the best possible position to play the best that they can. You want to help them, you know. And we have, I think the way our players are respected around the league right now, more so than any other year, is really awesome. But the cause for excitement is the fact that I think our guys just really believe that that we can be really good at what we do. You know, like, we're really locked in. Every year it's the same, but we are, no drag. We want to eliminate all the things that slow us down, distract us, and distort where we're trying to get. Anything that is a hindrance, throw it away. And everything that is good and pure and honest and right and helps us be the best team we can be, we want to embrace that. And those guys have really taken that to heart.
I think one of the reasons there's all this talk about the team construction and how you're in a really good position to compete this year is there's just there's not much change from last year. There's change every year, but when you look at like last year's team to this year's team, you're bringing back almost every starter. You have your key players back. What is the impact when you have a team that, like, the core of it is really the same from one year to the next?
Yeah, I mean, it's good because you have a shared understanding, that and a shared understanding is built on, it's a similar vision. So, like, we talk about worldview. Culture is something that people use, and we kind of use it sometimes, but it's just more about shared understanding. It's about being on the same page. It's about having a heart, the same heart, the same thought, the same values, the same, and a lot of that is a result of having shared experiences. Like, you're in a family, you're with your brothers and sisters, you guys you sort of see things the same way without even like talking about it sometimes, because you've lived the same kind of a life together, right? And I think that's true of a team too. So, like, all these guys being together through all these things, through the Lamar era, a lot of these guys have been here the whole time. That's all ingrained in our soul. So I think that's kind of, you don't need to really talk about it because you just kind of get it because you've been together.
To that point, like, I just get a sense that there's this guys like Lamar, of course, but Ronnie Stanley, Mark Andrews, Marlon Humphrey, like these guys who have been here throughout this entire time. There's like a real belief, like they want to be here. Like Ronnie Stanley's a good example. Could hit free agency, wanted to be here. Right. Mark Andrews made it clear, like he wanted to be here. And like there's just this belief that like these guys, they want to be here and continue building off of what you have done and been so close. How does that kind of permeate to the entire team?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the point. Like, one of the things it's funny you say it, because that's in my message to give the guys is, you're not here because nobody's here because they have to be here. Everybody's here because they want to be here. And like to your point, so many guys have chosen to be here. Even sometimes they take a few less dollars, to do it, or they sign early, or they just. I don't think there's one guy here that's to use the term. There's no prisoners here. There's nobody that's being held there against their will. Everybody really, really loves it here, and they want to be here, and they're on a mission. And who knows where that's going to take us? But when you have that kind of a mindset, you have a chance to kind of fulfill your purpose. The expectations are really high. The standards are even higher. For that we hold ourselves to. And when you understand the expectations are a good thing, and you hold yourself to a really high standard, then you have a chance to fulfill your purpose. And you don't always know what the purpose is. Like, well, all this garbage about do or die, or about more about like bust, Super Bowl or bust, all that kind of stuff. It's just so phony. I mean, anybody that says something like that has never actually accomplished anything, because they understand it's about process and it's about who you become. You want to win a championship, you got to become a champion. You got to be a champion. You got to do the things that champions do. And then you go in there and fight and you let the chips fly and see if you can win it. And that's what we've been doing. Our guys have been doing that at a championship level. We haven't won the championship yet. Okay, is that going to be in our future? Who knows? No one knows the future. We're not given to know the future. Read your Bible, But we are given to take care of the day and today and what the moment, and be in the moment, and to take care of one another, have each other's back, share a vision, share an understanding, fight as hard as you can, for that vision, that understanding, for that brotherhood, for one another, and then let the chips fly. And that's what our guys are going to do.
I mean, Ravens history tells this story, right? I mean, from 2008 building up to 2012 and the heartache of the 2011 AFC Championship game, right? That all built to that 2012 team and get in the playoffs, and you make this incredible run. I mean, you don't have to go back that far to prove this point. Like, do sometimes those tribulations that you face along the way that forge you, do you feel like those genuinely can be that kind of force that can get you over the top? You know what I mean?
To me, that's how life really is. I mean, there's every now and then you're going to get the flash in the pan team that all of a sudden jumps up and wins a Super Bowl or whatever. Then, it's like, ooh, we won the Super Bowl. Then where did they go? You don't hear from them again, right. or they came out of nowhere, and everybody, you got all these guys who were players of the year and all that kind of stuff. But then it was just they hit it. It's never been that way for the Ravens. I don't know why. It wasn't that way in 2000.
Right.
People want to say that it happened suddenly, but it was gradual. Gradually, then suddenly. That's how you succeed at anything in the world, right? That's how you fail at anything in the world too. All those things add up to all of a sudden, boom, you're a success, or you're a champion. And it was really true. 2008, we went to the championship game. We were a penalty on a punt return away from going to the Super Bowl in 2008. We were that close. That first year with all those guys. And then it took 5 more years. That was a lot of tribulation, to your point. But it also made those guys who they were. So when they walked in that stadium in New England, in Foxborough in 2013, was it?
Yeah. Calendar-wise,
Calendar-wise, exactly. 2012 season.
Yep.
They had been forged by all those things. So that's kind of always been the Raven way, it seems like. But I also think that's just kind of how it works.
So obviously this team, the conversation always starts with Lamar Jackson, and he's coming off another great season. I remember we had this conversation like this time a year ago, and I asked you at that point, Lamar's coming off an MVP season. Can he really get better? Like, can he actually get better? And you said emphatically, like, yeah, of course. And I'm sure you still feel the same way. But how? How could he keep building off of what he's already done?
Yeah, because it's deeper than that. It's not just about like a number or a stat or whatever. I don't know if his stats are going to be better than they were last year. It'd be hard to match what he did last year. It's not about the stats. It's about all the little intangible things. It's about, the greatest players make the players around them better. That's what Lamar does. He'll continue to do that on a higher level too, because like any of us, he's going to grow. He's growing, and he's determined to grow. His mind, his heart, his soul is determined. So because of that, he's going to be better than he was. God willing, and the creek don't rise, as my dad said.
So when you look at Lamar, and he has talked about his leadership on and off the field, and kind of bonding more with guys and getting together with them, do you feel like those kind of relationships, and he's always had good relationships, but kind of getting on the same page more on and off the field, like, does that make a big difference for a quarterback, you feel like?
I think it's valuable. Lamar's always been, like, they love Lamar. Because Lamar's why they love Lamar? Because he's genuine.
Exactly. He's Lamar, right, at all times. He's Lamar. And he's humble. He's confident. He's one of those guys that, confident, humble, and he's 28 years old. He's young. He's, his 7th year? Right.
8th year?
8th.
8th year coming up.
Yeah, 8th.
Yeah.
So he's played 7 seasons already, going into his 8th season. He's 28 years old. Wow.
Yeah.
That's how young he was when he came in. So that maturing process, I think back to when you guys were that age, how mature you guys were.
have we matured? Probably not as much as Lamar has.
Yeah, right. Good for it. But, that's kind of the point right there, and that's just stronger and stronger. And I see it every year. I always think he's great, but, he's getting better.
There's a lot of weapons around him too. How excited are you about the weapons that you have in this receiving core, tight ends, running back, of course, but there's a lot of weapons on this offense for him in this group.
Well, all those guys are so determined too. You talk about Derrick Henry, what a leader. You got Justice Hill. Don't we love it when Justice Hill's on the field? Mm-hmm. And I love these 2 young backs. I think that they're going to really, when they get their opportunity, they're going to shine. They do it every day. The tight ends. We love our tight end group. And the 2 top guys everybody talks about, and they got their stories individually. Then you got Charlie, and then you got some other guys like Zaire fighting their way in there, and then the receivers. Of course, you got Zay, and Zay's about ready to break out. That's how he sees it. God, I'm watching him run up hills, mountains, right? I didn't know there were hills that steep in Florida.
Yeah, I know. He's got to find the big hills.
Wow. And then Bate, Bate is really, I just saw Bate the other day, and he looks like a superhero, and he's ready to go. And then you bring in like DeAndre Hopkins. I just saw him in the cafeteria. It's like, this guy is he's excited. He's locked in. He's ready. And then all those other guys. I mean, Thailand, you got some young guys. We drafted Wade.
Yeah.
Tez. I mean, Tez, look at Tez, the offseason he had. So you're excited for all these guys, and it's just like, let's roll, man. Let's roll them all out there, and let's go see what happens.
Yeah. You bring up DeAndre Hopkins. He's been an impressive guy. I mean, it kind of, to a degree, reminds me of when Derrick Henry joined the team last year. And you're like, this is a pro. Like, this dude is just a pro. It's going to work.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what has been your impression of DeAndre so far?
That's how I see it. Like, it's just going to work. Like, same questions. I don't know if they're the same or not, but it's just, all the doubts. It's like, it's all these things that we heard about Derrick Henry last year, they don't get brought up now.
Yeah, everyone's like, nope.
Derrick Henry, the best back in football, or one of the top two.
Right, exactly.
Saquon's pretty good too.
Yeah.
They're both great. And but last year it's like, has he lost a step? How's he going to fit in your offense? There's no way Derrick Henry's going to be successful with you guys. He's going to be in the gun too much.
Right.
Whatever. And it's just like, he's going to, it's like, we just respectfully disagree, I guess. You hear it in my mind. I'm like, oh my God. but you're really just like, I really think he's going to be. I think he's going to fit in just fine. And then he goes out there and he rushes for almost 2,000 yards, and it's just like, hopefully you can't, we got the right kind of guys.
Well, he's got an Adam Sandler cameo riding out 2,000 yards this year, right?
I heard about it.
Maybe you can, if he gets 2,000, maybe you can try to negotiate your way into the movie.
Well, I think I would deserve it because we just saw, now maybe he'll bust through or whatever, but we get toward the last game, say we're up by a few touchdowns, and say he's like 5 yards short.
Right.
Like in the fourth quarter.
You're going to start negotiating.
Right.
You're like, I'm going to be part of this movie too.
He's going to want to be in there.
Cameo. Little cameo at least.
Cameo. Yeah. Can I just be the coach or something? I don't know what the cameo is. Just throw me in the background somewhere.
No, you need a speaking role. Just something in the background.
Oh.
Right. I'll
take a speaking role.
You'll take one. You're ready for it.
I think so.
You are actually a legit pretty good actor. I'll give it to you. I think you're pretty solid.
I watch myself. I think I'm better than I'm like most players. I think I'm better than I actually am.
It's like singing in the shower. You're like, man, I am sounding good.
Yeah, don't we all? Yeah.
So we're talking about the offense, and you talk about statistics with Lamar. Gosh, it's hard to be statistically better than the Ravens were last year, right? I mean, we're number one offense in the league, right? But you always have to keep evolving. If you don't keep evolving something, then the league will catch up to you. How have you seen Todd Monken and his staff and all of you go about that this offseason and kind of the next iteration of this offense?
Yeah. I think what you said is what it is. You got to keep it moving.
Yeah.
You got to keep it moving. And you got to keep it moving in a couple of directions. You got to keep it moving creatively, and you got to stay ahead of people, and you got to give them the next iteration, and you got to challenge what they think they know about you and create problems for them. But you also got to keep it moving towards being smaller. There's like the telescope and there's the microscope. The microscope says, let's zoom in on us and what we need to do to be really good, like what we're really about. Hopefully we don't go into training camp. We're not experimenting with a bunch of stuff. We're actually running the stuff that we're going to run in games. Because what are we practicing for? The games.
Right.
So the tighter we can be with our offense in terms of understanding ourselves and what our players can do well and what's going to cause other people problems, and really getting good at those things. The bottom line is how good you are at what you do. If you're really, really great at what you do, if you're better at the fundamentals and the basics, consistently better than everybody else, then that's what greatness really is. So that's what we try to do on offense. So that's really the next iteration. It goes outwardly, stay ahead of people, but it also goes inwardly to try to actually be better at what we do.
I'm curious about the experimenting piece. Like you say, training camp's we're not going to be experimenting on offense. And on one hand, I would think like training camp's a time to experiment and try these things and see what you're going to be. But is the reason that you don't feel like you're experimenting as much in this year's camp just because you have a clear identity of like what you are and what this offense can do?
Yeah, generally speaking, yes. You look back at the season and say, what are we? How do we assess ourselves? Who are we? What is our identity? What are we good at? And that you like to narrow that down. Then you look at it and say, what do we need going forward? Like, who are we playing? What defenses do they run? What do we think we're going to need to cause people trouble? And then you look at it and say, what can we actually get good at? So like I think early on, you probably do. Early on with Lamar, we probably were looking at like, what kind of an offense are we going to build here? And you try this and try that, and what he's good at and what the guys are good at. And we probably spent more time searching than we did actually training. You know, so I think we're way more into training mode than we've ever been before, which I feel good about.
On the flip side, defense last year obviously finished the season really strong. You know, went through some growing pains early in the year, but then finished the season on a really strong note. How is that first year as a defensive coordinator and the learning experiences of that? How does that benefit Zach going into year 2?
Well, you can just think of. I mean, Zach's talented and great, and you know he's smart, but he's also humble. You know, he's not the kind of guy that like knows it all. You know, I like the conversation that we had a couple times last year was just think how much I want you to just. I told him, I said, just zoom ahead 5 years. Okay, say you're wherever you're at, but just say you're right here, in this chair. How much more football, how much more knowledge, how much more understanding, how many lessons are you going to be ahead 5 years from now? Right? Just keep that in mind. You know. So, you know, this every day, man, is an opportunity to get better and to learn. And you're just not where you don't need to have every answer. You don't need to know everything. You know, you just need to just live in the moment and let's do the best job we can today. And don't worry about any of the other stuff. I mean, 5 years from now, you're gonna look back and go, man, if I only knew then what I know now. Well, that's gonna be 5 years from now.
Right.
So like now, let's try, and Zach really like he gets that. You know, he's not trying to like act like he's just really, and I think that makes him, because he's so talented and so good and he knows so much. I mean, for his age, he knows so much football. It's shocking how much football he knows.
Yeah.
And he brings it to bear. But until you've done it, you haven't done it. You know, and he, you know, being a coordinator, defensive coordinator is a unique thing. I mean, how many guys are actually defensive coordinators, you know, or offensive coordinators or special teams or whatever? It's like until you've actually done it, you haven't done it. So just getting out there and calling defenses, being in situations, having the fur flying, and all those kind of things, I think are things that you just kind of get used to as you go. So now the second year in, you know, I mean, he learned so fast. Look how he grew during the season. But the second year in, I think, is a good thing.
Yeah. It's not just him, obviously. There's some new additions to this coaching staff, and you talk about guys who have done it. Right. Chuck Pagano, right? It being one of them. Tyler Santucci, Donald D'Alicio. You know, what have you seen from those guys and what they're going to bring to this defense? Yeah, I think they're really good, like organized process thinkers. Like we want to be system builders, and we want to be process oriented. And those guys really think that way. You know, they are on point. They teach the details, the process. They say things the right way. They have drills that really apply to the outcome that we're trying to achieve on the field, you know, what we want it to look like. I just think they're great teachers, great guys. They're all stars in their own right, you know. I mean, I look at our whole coaching staff. I see a bunch of stars. You know, on the defensive side, all the guys you mentioned, Dennis, Chuck also, you know, all those guys are incredible coaches. And then on the offensive side, you know, T is amazing. Willie's amazing. George Gotzi is credible. George Warhop, man. I mean, what a great offensive line coach. You mentioned the offensive line. I do want to circle back to that because, you know, you were talking earlier about, what people were saying last year about Derrick Henry, and like they were saying the same stuff about the offensive line because there was turnover, 3 new starters on that O-line. And I really feel like the offensive line made great strides last year, and by the end of the season was one of the better lines in the league, I felt like, and they still didn't really get the credit I felt like they deserved. How do you feel about this offensive line going into this year, especially, you know, obviously Pat left, but you have a lot of continuity there and you have good young players that are improving?
Yeah, I mean, well, we're the 17th ranked offensive line going into the season, so, you know.
It still exists.
Yeah, I guess we're mediocre, you know, and that's it hasn't. Some things never change, you know. And I'm really looking forward to proving everybody wrong.
Yeah,
you know, that's the goal. I think those guys are great players, you know, and I think they're going to play great. And that's our job to make sure that they do. But I love every one of those guys, and there's competition in there too, so it's all good.
Coaches find motivation in anything, you know, to that point, and I
be honest with you, like I don't save the good articles. They say that. I save the insulting ones.
Yeah.
Those go in the file.
You got to refer to them. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, and because my point was like on defense, like on the secondary is, to be honest, it's almost a different conversation because you have so many, you have 5 first-round picks in your secondary, you have all this talent and exciting players, you add Jair Alexander, you get Malachi Starks, Kyle Hamilton's probably the best safety in football, and so everyone's like, man, the secondary is going to be lights out. And so I'm just curious, like your impressions of the secondary, and then how quickly that group can come together and gel and just play at the level that everyone thinks they're capable of.
Yeah, it just depends on us. I mean, how well we build our system and how well we teach our system and how how locked in those guys are into learning it, which they've been incredibly locked in and good. So when I saw it in OTAs, like I said, go by what I see. I didn't see a lot of mistakes out there. But, we lost our Darius, and we're putting a rookie out there, Until you've done it, you haven't done it. So I've also read that, I know that the 2 veteran corners we brought in have both been hurt for the last 2 years. I read that quite a bit. So, then, TJ Tampa, he was hurt all last year, and he, how good is he really? I mean, Jalen never been able to stay healthy and get on the field.
Right.
So I read all that. So that's how I think.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about the other thing. I'm thinking about that, and it's like, it kind of ticks me off. So it's like, my thought is you just got to prove them all wrong. Even if they think we're good, we still got to prove them they're still not. We don't, and that's the thing too. It's like, it's all set up. Let's just be honest. People put they put the platitudes out there. You start doing well. They're just setting you up. Yeah. Because as soon as you don't reach that lofty, all that praise that they gave you, they're the first ones to slam you and bury you.
Right.
So we don't believe any of it.
Part of the problem is July in the NFL, everybody goes on vacation, which this is great. I appreciate my vacation.
Baseball's a great sport. Pay attention to baseball. WNBA is amazing.
Right. But then everybody just starts making up a bazillion rankings. They rank everything in July.
Right. Where do you guys rank it on the podcast?
Number one. Number one.
Yeah, of course. But they're still doubting us.
We find any opportunity to use that as motivation.
I am one of the probably biggest items of training camp, and something that everybody's going to be watching is the kicker competition. Obviously, Tyler Loop and John Hoyland kind of competing against that. What are you looking to see from those rookies as they compete for that job?
Yeah, the main thing is make the most of every day to start with, and most of every drill, most of every kick. Every situation. We'll put them in a lot of circumstances and situations to try to create game-like environment as much as we can in practice, put as much pressure on them as we can so that they can actually replicate that process, that swing, every time. And then also, try to get them wind, try to get some rain, try to get some wet turf, wet footballs, all those kind of things. But, and then, so they prepare, and then what's going to come down to is they got to go out there and do it in the moment, and can they take that moment and not be too big for them, and realize that, hey, I'm hitting the ball. I told him, just kick the ball straight. That's your job. We strive to kick the ball straight. All the way back to David Akers when we first started, the goal is to kick the ball straight. Right. And that's not easy. Anybody that plays golf knows how hard that is.
Do you like to put the pressure on them? I mean, I know sometimes in some of these, you'll bring the veterans in there, and I remember Terrell Suggs when Tucker was a rookie, giving him a hard time. Like, do you like to put them in that type of a situation where everybody's watching and all that stuff? Yeah,
I mean, like I miss Suggs. We have to bring Suggs back just to
heckle the kickers.
Let's do that.
That's not a bad idea.
We'll pay him.
That's a video we need to.
Someone give him a call.
We need to mic up Suggs.
We will pay you to come back and heckle the kicker. He's the best at it.
He was pro at that.
He had a knack.
He was pro at that. And just last one, Coach, is training camp is here. We talked about that. Like, for you, what's your favorite part of camp? If you could pick one thing that's your favorite part of training camp, what would it be?
Well, I mean, I love the team meetings, because I love meetings. I love team football meetings, and I get to coach and teach, so I love that.
Yeah.
I love sitting in the offensive and defensive meetings. I love the back and forth, about the football, and the nice thing about being the head coach is, you can say whatever you want, and like, hopefully I'd like to think it's very edifying and incredibly informative, but you just, I know you never want to walk away from teaching. You never want to walk away from teaching football, and saying things in a way that guys, you can share something that helps a guy be better, a player be better, or a coach be better. A lot of it's coaching the coaches too, and you don't want to like just overstep it, but every now and then you say something that guys like, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. Then you see him go do it on the field and do it just like, in other words, oh, you see what I was seeing, and they're like, this is better, this is good, I get it now. That's the most fulfilling part of it. But just the process. I love going out to practice. I love going into the meeting room. I just love the lifestyle of training camp, and it's better now. We used to go from like, 6:30 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night as coaches. We put the players they'd be lights out at 10:30 or 11, and we'd be meeting until 10. We just, and now like I look, and that's the way it was done. We did it that way here for a number of years. Now the rules changed, but we've also changed. And you just start to realize that like, okay, it's not as effective. It's, it's not, maybe it was more effective then. I don't know, but things are different. We have better ways of doing things now. So get the guys out and just make sure that really like, it's not so much of a it's not so much of a distance run, okay? Life is a 60 seconds worth of distance run, like Kipling, but it's really 60 seconds worth. It's really a series of sprints. You know, it's momentary sprint. And then it's just like how football is played. It's a play. Sometimes we're back on the line quick. It's another play. Sometimes we're in the huddle, but it's a series of sprints. You know, and to try to be really locked in and focused on in those moments, when those sprints take place, that prepares you for the moments that are the biggest moments and the most meaningful games to try to put your best out there.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait for it. It's going to be a fun season, and thank you for joining us.
And my pleasure. It's fun.
Coach.
Always great.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you so much. Welcome back to the lounge. We are coming to you from the SeatGeek studio. We also want to mention our partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. They are an official sports betting partner of the Baltimore Ravens. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. So it's great to spend some time with the head ball coach as training camp kicks off, and I really enjoyed hearing from him and the perspective that he has going into the season. Obviously, there's optimism and excitement, and as he talked about, and now it's up to this team to do the little things day by day to go and deliver on the standards and the expectations that they all have.
Yeah, for sure. And as we talked about, you know, the expectations are high for this team, and they're not running from that. Right. And they hear it. They know it. Like, you're not putting your head in the sand.
Yeah.
Right. But it's about kind of embracing those expectations. And they've been there before. Like, the Ravens have gone into the playoffs with everybody saying, like, this is the hottest team in football, you know, and could this be the year? Now it's time to do it. And that's process oriented, right? You can't just say, yeah, this is the year we're going to get over the hump. It's process oriented. And I give, Coach a lot of credit for that in kind of dialing it down to, all right, what do we need to do to get there?
Mm-hmm. I also think that a lot of like when a season ends, you want to go back to, you just want to get back to, can we be back in the AFC Championship? Can you be back in Buffalo on a snowy night? Like, can we just fast forward to that point? Right. And obviously, it goes without saying, it doesn't work that way. And I think that the Ravens under Coach Harbaugh have done a really good job of like doing the little things all throughout the process in order to get yourself into that position.
Well, let's be honest. We kind of, I think, sometimes take it for granted around here just how good this team has been year in and year out. This is incredibly hard to do, what the Ravens have done. And I understand, like, we feel it too. Gosh, we want to be at the Super Bowl. You know, the Harbs wants to be at the Super Bowl. Yeah. Everybody wants to be there, right? Like, we get that. And like, that's stung. But like, also, gosh, like, being on that cusp year in, year out, competing, being one of the best teams in football, like, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
And I think it should be kind of to his point, he's like, all that Super Bowl or bust stuff, like, I hate that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's a bunch of nonsense because, like, appreciate what it takes to be in this position. You know what I mean? And the Ravens they're going to be in that position again.
Yeah. So we're fired up. Training camp is here. Players, as we're talking right now, are making their way into the building, and the first practice is on Wednesday, and then they're practicing all throughout the summer. And so we're going to be bringing you all the highlights, the analysis, interviews, everything related to that. So we've got a lot of exciting, fun stuff planned. As always, you can email us at the lounge at ravens.nfl.net. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we will talk with you again soon.